You are listening to the Foamy Heads podcast, where we discuss craft beer and anything else that accompanies a glass.
It is the Foamy Heads back with another episode. Mitch and Rich hanging out on the mics today. We're hanging out at Black Abbey Brewing, Nashville, Tennessee. Mitch, just a little bit of a drive for both of us, but for good beer, we're willing to drive anywhere, dude.
Oh, of course.
We're sitting in a backspace. We're kind of in the display area right now. We've got Carl Meier.
Shh. Don't tell anybody. It's
We're
called
in
the
the-
display.
We're in the secret undisclosed area.
Undisclosed location.
Carl Meier, founder of Black Abbey. How's it going, man?
It's going great. I'm glad y'all are here.
Thanks for letting us come down here today and chill and drink your beer for a while. We're both huge fans of Black Abbey.
Glad to do it. Glad you're here.
The beer, number one, is great. The message, number two, just kind of speaks to both of us. So it's just it's an all around chill. I mean, just the sanctuary-esque aspect of the brewery alone is just it's a fun place to sit at. You know, being able to say you're going to go down basically to church and drink beer is just like, it resonates with me very well.
You know, our Black Abbey is sort of founded in and around the ethos of Martin Luther. And one of the things that Martin Luther, the founder of the Protestant Reformation, used to say is, I would rather have people at worship, or I would rather have people in the alehouse thinking of worship than in worship thinking of the alehouse. And that is very much our methodology of who we are and how our taproom is designed and what our brand is that, you know, Nashville is very much the buckle of the Bible Belt. And I think that in that space, it's important for people to be able to say, you know what, I can be where we are and maybe I can think about worship while I'm in the alehouse. Like, I could be at Black Abbey and be thinking about church, but I'm not at church thinking about Black Abbey, right? Like, I think that's a really intentional, thought-provoking message for folks. Like, you know what? I can go to the bar and think about whatever I want. Maybe if I go to church, maybe I ought to be thinking about church. But if I'm somewhere else, I could be thinking about whatever I want to think about.
Yeah. And that's kind of the concept here.
Yes, very much so. So I'd like to give you a listener a visual impression of where we are. Our tap room is about 1,000 square feet. We have 7 8-foot tables made out of barnwood with little benches that force people to sit at a table, maybe with people they've never met before. Pendant lights that hang from the ceiling that I bought from all right, I'm going to tell you all something I shouldn't tell you.
Okay.
This is true. I bought these pendant lights on Craigslist from a church called Green Pond Baptist Church in Soddy Daisy, Tennessee.
Wow.
I've heard of Soddy Daisy, Tennessee.
It's down near Chattanooga.
Yep.
Soddy Daisy. And so I bought them on Craigslist, and they were $20 each. And I went down there to pick them up, and I bought them from the pastor, cash money. And he said,
What are you going to do with these?
What are you going to do with these? What are you going to do with these lights? And I said,
Don't lie to
Well,
the pastor.
I've got a friend of mine that's got a church plant. And he said, well, that's real nice. And that's true. I did have a friend of mine at the time who was the music minister for a church plant where I currently worship. That ain't where those pendant lights went. They went right in our tap room. So we've been very intentional to not bludgeon people. I think it's really important to say, you know what? Everybody's got their own intention and their own mindset and their own beliefs about things, but we can all recognize iconography that has been around for a long, maybe thousands and thousands of years.
Yep.
without being upset about it.
Hmm.
Right? We can recognize it. We can not necessarily make fun of it, but not necessarily take a knee in front of it. And I think that it's important to incorporate branding and ideology and an iconography that has been around for millennia, and build it into what we do. And that's what Martin Luther did. I is sitting literally in front of my little microphone right now is a Lego character of Martin Luther with his little 95 Theses. Like Luther, the beauty of Luther is that he was a monk, right? He joined the monastery, didn't agree with what the Roman Church was teaching as far as giving money to absolve sin. And so he wrote 95 Theses that disagreed with what the Roman Church was. He was promptly excommunicated, pursued nearly to death, and then married a nun because, I mean,
why not?
None your business.
Hey, none your business. Right? I mean, all right. I don't know how many listeners y'all got, but how many of you would marry a nun right now? You could just dial in to 555-8711.
The phone's not ringing.
Right? But so he marries a nun, and then as a wedding gift, he is given, Martin and Catherine are given the monastery where Luther wrote the 95 Theses, which was called the Black Cloister. The two of them move in, and Catherine starts brewing beer there because in the Middle Ages, the nuns were the brewers, not the monks. And so she finances the Protestant Reformation out of the monastery where Luther started the Protestant Reformation several years before. So subsequently, Luther hosts what became known as table talk. And so he would sit at the table, people would come to visit. I mean, sometimes hundreds, like loads and loads of people would come in, and they would sit down at the table and they would ask Martin questions. And the more beer he drank, the more outrageous the answers became, right? Like beer drinking and Christianity are not broken apart, right? They are hand in hand. This is like literally Luther would sit at the table. Catherine would bring him beer. His number two, like his secretary of Lutheranism, if you were, was a fellow named Philip Melanchthon. And so Melanchthon would sit at his right hand. People would ask Luther questions and he would answer them, and Melanchthon would write them down. And so there's an entire book called Table Talk that is recordings that Melanchthon did, right? So Luther drank out of a giant stein. He had a giant ceramic stein that had 3 rings, and our Mug Club members, their steins are modeled after this.
Oh, nice.
The top ring represents, all right, I'm going to get it right. I want to get it right. The top ring represents the 10 Commandments. The middle ring represents the Lord's Prayer, and the bottom ring represents the Apostles' Creed. Okay. And so Luther, while they were sitting at table,
He's drinking out of this stein.
he would drink out of this giant stein. Well, Catherine would bring it to him, and then he would say, Philip, drink out of this stein, drink it as fast as you can. Right? And Melanchthon was the secretary. He was just like,
This again.
I mean, okay, here we go again. And he would try, but he couldn't ever get past the first ring.
the Ten Commandments.
The 10 Commandments. So Luther would say, Philip, you are still under the law, which is like the most ridiculous religious Protestant joke, right? Like, because that's the beauty, right? Christ fulfilled the law. So all of us are no longer under the law. If you're a Christian, that's part of your belief system, right? So for Luther to be like, you can't even drink through the 10 Commandments, Philip, jackass. Try to drink more, sucker. And the more they drank, the more he would do it. And Melanchthon still would sit there and be like, okay, I'll write it all down. I mean, if you insist, right? So I feel like that level of hilarious, idiotic humor is so much built into who our brand is. that's what makes Black Abbey what it is.
I love that.
It's not serious.
Yeah.
It's serious. We're
it's
we're
more,
taking
serious in
it
what we
seriously,
do,
but not that
right?
seriously, right?
We don't take ourselves too
yeah.
seriously.
You don't
Exactly.
Right.
you don't
Yeah.
walk into a place like this and have to mind your P's and Q's.
Right.
No.
And also joining us in the office today is Alex Frizzle. So
Good day.
Alex is here. He's also talking with us.
Introduce yourself, Alex. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Alex. I am the taproom manager here.
Director of taproom operations.
According to my business card, director of taproom operations, which sounds a lot cooler.
It
to be
does sound
honest.
cool.
But yeah, I kind of just run everything up here, and those weird people you see pouring beers behind you. Yeah, I love this place. I fell in love with it the first time I came here. It was what I like in a bar setting. It was not super loud. There's no TVs. It was clearly designed to meet people around you,
Yes.
right? Not
Yes.
not just sit at your table in the corner and not do anything and then just leave, which kind of feels weird when you're drinking beer alone. So it's
Yeah.
nice that you can just pick up a conversation. And the thing is, like, everybody else feels that way, so you can talk to anybody and they will reply to you, and you can pick up a conversation, become friends. Like, it's crazy. So
And the pews are there to help facilitate that as well.
right, the big tables,
You're not at
the
a separate
pews,
table.
right? You don't have your own little, mentally speaking, like a chair that blocks you in, But yeah, so I fell in love with it there, and then I applied twice. Applied once, but was denied once. And then about 3 months later, I got a call and was like, "Hey, do you want to work here?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And then about a day later, I got a call. I was like, "Do you want to work here full time?" And I said, "Absolutely." So
Yes.
that started my journey. 2021, 2020 must have been 2020 December.
It was the
No, it's
end of 19.
No, it was 20.
So
It
this
was
was
20.
before the COVID.
It was
Yeah.
it was before the COVID, but then you got COVID.
Yeah, then I got COVID from a friend. Unfortunately, here at my birthday celebration, she insisted on not going home to her family, and ended up going home to her family, and that was a mistake for all of us.
Oh.
But it's okay. I survived. Lost my taste and smell for a good 8 months.
8 months.
It's really easy
Wow.
when you're a bartender to not have any sense of taste or smell.
Yeah, super easy, especially when you're trying to describe new beers that you haven't tasted.
Yep.
Like, oh, this is
We've
yeah.
got this beer. It
This one
tastes
tastes like
nothing,
water.
Right.
and it smells like nothing.
It burns my tongue, and that's all I get.
Let me look at the manuscript.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
Scroll, please.
Scroll, please. And you brought beer too. Like
I
you
did, I
came
brought
in and
beer.
sat down a few minutes ago and actually brought 4 beers.
I like to take care of my friends.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
So
I'm glad you're here.
yeah.
Me too.
So Alex brought us 4 beers.
What do we got?
The Rose is our flagship brand. It is a Belgian style blonde. Sits at about 5.5%, 5.6. The thing about the Rose, we had no idea when we started this brand that the Rose was going to be the flagship. Honestly, we thought that our pale ale, which at the time was called Champion. was going to be the flagship. We opened the brewery with 4 brands: Rose, Champion, Special, and Chapter House, which is Belgian red. Of those 4, 2 of them are still here, and Rose is the flagship. We use Chimay's yeast. Chimay is a Belgian brewery.
Nice.
Chimay's yeast gives a little banana and a little clove, which is a lot of people think, all right, I get banana and clove. I think Hefeweizen. Hefe is really a German wheat beer. There's really not very much wheat in Rose, but that Chimay yeast is what throws the banana clove notes out of the, especially at aromatic. I taste a little banana, but it's not a lot. But that's our number 1, and it's in Kroger and Walmart and Publix and sort of the predominant grocery chains in Middle Tennessee,
It is
across
widely
Tennessee.
distributed. I see it.
Yeah.
Most
yeah.
places you can buy beer, you see that one.
And it's an easy drinker. It's the first beer that we ever sold. We sold it into ML Rose, or at the time it was called Melrose,
Melrose, yeah.
right around the corner from here.
Yep. I was drunk and walked in there one day and almost ordered a beer.
Almost.
Almost. You almost ordered a beer?
Well,
Did you
I
throw
almo-
up on the floor
I
first?
almo- well,
Like,
I
what
almost-
happened?
Did you have to purge?
I approached the building and said, "Hey, this is not ML Rose that I was looking for." And then
Oh.
I turned around; it was across the street. And
Yes.
I went, "Oh, okay. Maybe I should go there
Yeah.
instead."
For those of you listening at home, directly
Mm.
across the street from ML Rose is a church. Forgive me, Father, but I would like to order a beer.
I'm here for the tabletop.
That's right.
Is the
But
beer
anyway,
in the
so
booth?
so let's drink it. We should try
Yeah,
it.
let's try it out.
It's really funny how it happened
Thanks.
that Rose sort of took over the brand.
Mm.
So we decided. I mean, geez, honestly, this is when we were sitting down. It was so there's three of us, me and Mike and John. John and I are active day to day in operations of the company, but when we were planning it, it was me and Mike and John, and we would meet in my house, and we would do Thursday nights, and we'd work on the business plan, and I would homebrew, and John would homebrew, and we'd bring beers for us to try, and we'd work on the business plan, and we were trying to think of, all right, what's going to be the plan? What's going to be the brand? What's going to be the ultimate identity? And we had some ideas, and we were drawing the yellow, legal pad. And I had a friend of mine who worked in PR and marketing. We had an idea that was sort of tied in. Well, I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's super secret because I may still use it.
Keep the secret sauce.
But he was like, I don't think that your alcoholic beverage brand should be tied to an animal's mouth.
Oh.
Which turned out to be really good advice. Anyway, so we were working on the legal pad list, and we decided, and it's a very long story, and I'll divest of this, but we're working on this idea, and we came up with the idea that, so Luther, the monastery where he wrote the 95 Theses, where he and Catherine moved into years later, was called the Black Cloister. But the kind of beer that Catherine would have been making in the Middle Ages was very much a Belgian or Abbey style of ale. And so we took Black Cloister and Abbey Ale and we put those together. And that's where Black Abbey comes from.
Nice.
And so that is really what brought Luther into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so once Luther was in the mix, we're like, well, let's do some research on Luther. And so Luther, when he would write correspondence, he would seal his correspondence with a very specific seal. And the seal was made up of a handful of components, which was a gold ring on a blue background with a white rose, or a blue field, like gold ring, blue field, white rose, red heart, black cross.
Oh.
And so we thought, well, this is genius. Like, that's what we should call all of our flagship brands.
Mm-hmm.
Gold ring, blue field, white rose, red heart, black cross.
Nice.
And so we drew it all out. We put it in the business plan, and we're talking about it in that method just amongst us. And we're like, all right, well, if you roll into a bar, what are you going to do? Well, I've got 5 brands, right? I'm going to roll in. I've got gold ring, blue field, white heart, red heart, black, or
White Rose.
White Rose.
yeah, there it is. Gold ring, blue field, white rose, red heart, black cross. And Mike, our third partner, goes, if you had purple horseshoe, you'd have Lucky Charms. You're right.
Yeah.
Like, you're right.
Yeah.
So out of that, white rose, or rose, is the one of those that survived.
Interesting.
And that turned into our Belgian blonde. And so we do a number of beers that are on Belgian yeast. And so what we're going to taste during the scope of this discussion today will be 3 beers that are on that Belgian yeast, and then one that's not, just for fun.
Awesome.
But Rose is the Belgian beer that stuck, and is the Belgian beer that rules.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is our big dog. Mm.
Nice.
So when I smell it, have I completely taken over your podcast?
No, not at all.
This is what
this
we're
is what
about.
we're here for.
Great.
We
Want to know
usually,
what's going on inside your
okay.
head and what's going on inside this beer.
more often than not, we're having to like poke and prod.
Yeah.
So
This is actually a
Oh,
sigh of relief. Believe it or
Yeah, once you
not.
get Carl going, he's
Welcome to Carl's podcast. You may have tuned in
Featuring
to
the
Foamy
Foamy
Heads.
Heads.
I might have wound him too much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. But So
It
when you
smells
smell
great,
it,
by the way.
Yeah.
right, I get big banana
Yep.
and clove,
Clove.
right? Like
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
sweet, but not overwhelming, maybe.
I get maybe a little bit of banana on the nose, but I get more in the taste than I do on the nose. The clove is definitely there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the nose, but the banana I get a little bit more in the taste than I do.
And I would say it's like before your banana starts to get like the slight brown spots, like
Yeah.
when it still has that kind of like tart tanginess
Yeah.
to it. That's kind of the banana that I get.
It's not
Yeah.
overly sweet either.
Right.
That's what I like about it.
Yes, it's completely balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big part of what we do as Black Abbey is try to bring beers to the table that are balanced. When a beer is overwhelmingly not sweet or not tart or not bitter or overwhelmingly sweet or tart or bitter, I think that pushes a drinker away.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are about, I mean, this, I don't know, it sounds salesy, but like I want people to drink 1 or 2 or 3 beers. Like I don't want you to
Right.
be like, well, I could get halfway through this and then I got to drink a Bush,
Right.
you know? Like nothing against Bush. Like, all right.
No, I
I'm not going to lie. I got a case of Bush Light in the trunk of my car right now.
no shame.
Warming up right,
Right.
now.
No shame.
Yeah.
Now.
Warming up.
Oh, it's hot.
To the right room temperature. No, I agree with your point. There is Nashville is a good example of this, but there are many breweries, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing to a lot of people, and it can be off-putting to some, but there are breweries in Nashville that focus on bringing lots of people together of all tastes, that like different styles of beer, where you can go in and have 3 or 4. There are breweries in Nashville that focus on one specific or 2 specific styles. And you know, when it attracts a certain group of people, like people that love those kinds of beers, but you probably you unknowingly do it, push or keep other people out. So if I'm looking for a specific style of beer, I'm going to go, oh, I love New England style IPAs. I'm going to go here. Or, oh, I'm really interested right now in this really dark, heavy bourbon barrel aged stout with loads of cinnamon or whatever. I know exactly where I can go to get that. There are not a lot of places in Nashville. I can think of a couple, but there's I think they're underrepresented, where you can go somewhere and have 9 or 10 different beers if you want, and all of them are different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you listening, right, like if you want really great New England style IPAs, you should go to Bearded Iris.
Yeah.
They do an excellent job. If you want fruited sours, you should go to Southern Grist. They do an excellent job. If you want big barrel stouts, you should go to Living Waters. They kill it.
Yep.
Black Abbey does European influenced American craft,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we are an American craft brewery with an American influence. So while Rose is a Belgian style blonde, it is Belgian style, right? If you went to Belgium, you would not find a beer that tastes exactly like this. This is a unique American style beer, but it is produced using Belgian yeast. It's produced using American and German malts. It's produced using hops from the Czech Republic.
Mm-hmm.
So like we're incorporating, we're taking a very unique American approach to a European style.
Love it.
You know, and I think that's a lot of fun. And I think that Nashville is very fortunate to have a very diverse beer palette.
Right.
You know, we've got a lot of breweries here. I sat down, this has not been long ago, to say, all right, how many brewery tap rooms, not just like individual brewery, but brewery tap rooms. So for instance, Tailgate has 3, they're about to have 5. But so I counted them as 3.
Mm-hmm.
How many tap rooms are within about 40-ish, 30-ish
What's that
miles
count?
from where we are? It's 44
Holy shit.
That's
from where
really
we're sitting
grown.
right now.
Oh.
Right.
And that's probably in the last 7 years.
uh,
5
it-
years?
It was 20 in 2019.
Yeah.
At the end of 2018. So January 1, 2019, it was 20.
It's
Right
more
now
than
it's
double.
44. Right. It's more than doubled.
Wow.
And And honestly, for the craft beer consumer in Nashville, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't feel
There's-
like it's saturated.
No. And I mean, I do, but I think that it's really fun and entertaining for the Nashville beer consumer to be able to say, I've got a million different selections, right? If I want 100% Tennessee inputs, I could go to Harding House. If I want like 27 different pumpkin beers plus awesome pizza, I can go to Tailgate. If I want a Hefeweizen with all kinds of berries and stuff in it, I can go to Jackalope. Like, there's a million different cool breweries that are doing lots of different stuff. And the awesome thing about Nashville is that we all get along.
Yeah.
And I love that so much. I know that's not the same way that it is in other markets.
Right.
And it's almost like we all went to college together, like everybody showed up freshman year and we were all in the same dorm and we were trying to figure it out. When I was in college, I watched the Bills lose the Super Bowl 4 times in a row. 90, 91, 92, 93. Like, it happened 4 years. How's that for funny? I watched the 4 years I was in college, the Bills lost the Super Bowl every freaking year.
Yeah.
Every year.
Ah,
But anyway, that's not what this podcast is about. Anyway,
damn it, Bills.
stupid Bills. Jim Kelly, you bastard. Thurman Thomas. Anyway, but it's Nashville is really awesome in that way that there's camaraderie and fun as it relates to beer because we all kind of stay in our lane. We've done such a good job of identifying who we are as far as like brand identity. Whatever. When Yazoo rolls out their tulip beer or whatever, and it's a Belgian blonde with coriander or some shit in it, like,
Right.
all right, then there's gonna be fisticuffs. But until then, like, Linus and I are buds, right?
That's a throwback.
There's always table talk first.
Yes. Table talk.
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of it.
Ba-dums.
Man, that's a nice
was
clean
great,
beer
man.
right there.
So Rose is the big dog. Like,
I'll be back.
again, no, Alex is leaving us, which is fine. Clearly, I've been the one who's talking the most. He's like, Jesus, get out of here.
When Alex shows up, he brings beer into the room, though.
I mean, he's like an angel.
Yes.
Like, all right, now that Alex is gone, what a gem.
Yeah.
So Alex was in the Army.
Hmm.
He came to us through coffee.
Oh, okay.
He worked at a coffee shop, and coffee people and beer people are really not that different, right? They have this like intrinsic understanding of flavor profiles that is really important. And when he came in, our taproom manager years ago, her name was Becca, and Becca was like, I like this dude, but he's a coffee guy. And honestly, when she brought Alex in, she also brought Alex's coworker from the previous coffee shop. His name is Bront.
Bront.
He prefers Brant, but we call him Bront.
Got it.
Anyway,
I was spelling it like Bronco in my head, but
yeah,
I see what
yeah. So they came in, and it's like the cross between beer and coffee is just so not broad.
That's
Like,
interesting. Yeah.
it's smart.
Yeah.
Right? Like, your coffee guys and your beer guys talk the same language.
Yeah.
The flavor identifiers are just different.
The appreciation of the process itself and the
mhm.
attention to detail.
Right.
Beer is a very delicate thing when you're working with it.
Yes.
And coffee could be too, I guess.
Well, and you want to talk about like the consumption of the masses,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, what do your general human beings drink? Like,
Coffee.
everybody drinks
Oh,
coffee.
milk, sugar, and adjuncts.
Yeah. Well, and everybody drinks beer. Like,
Right.
I just,
It's a good fit.
Yeah.
yes. Like, I don't know. If you're going on a road trip,
Mhm.
like, you're going to get in your car and you're going to drive from Maine to Southern California,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Like, you're going to stop at truck stops all over the country and drink coffee.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Same with beer. Like, you're going to stop in these bars and you're going to drink beer at these places, and maybe it's all going to be Busch, but maybe it's not. Like, we're in a world now where beer flavors are different, and that makes for a much more interesting and identifiable experience.
Definitely.
Hey,
I'm
Alex is back. What'd you bring us, Alex?
The special, which is the beer that got me hooked on Black Abbey,
Yes.
is amazing.
This is one of my favorites
Yeah,
of Black
it's a
Abbey.
Belgian
So it is
double.
special.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It is
very special. Special to everybody.
So we run 3 Belgian style beers on tap all the time.
Oh, okay.
The Rose, right? Belgian Blonde,
Yep.
Special, which we're about to try, Belgian Double, and then we do a rotating Belgian Strong Ale. And the Belgian Strong Ale in the spring and summer is a triple, which is called Grand Design, and in the fall and winter is called Ancient Ways, which is a quad. And the idea behind Ancient Ways and Grand Design is that both of them are named after a famous drummer from Canada.
Huh.
Neil Peart, rest his soul, who was the drummer for Rush.
Yes.
And so Grand Design from the song Power Windows, Grand Designs, and then Ancient Ways is a reference to a lyric from a song on 2112. So both my business partner John and I are huge Rush guys, and we felt that it was really important to memorialize Neil Peart when he passed, and so we did. But anyway, Special is not one of those beers that memorializes Neil Peart. Special is a Belgian double. When Black Abbey first rolled Special, the law in Tennessee allowed for breweries to make beer up to 6.2% alcohol by volume.
Oh, yeah.
So when we first launched Special, it was a 5.99999 beer, which was fine. It was fine, but it was always designed to be a Belgian double, which should be in the 7% range ish. So when we first launched it, it was 6.9 ish. But then when the law changed in 2017, January 2017, we changed the recipe a little bit to include more grain and candy sugar to raise it to
Up that
7.4.
ABV a little bit,
Yep.
right?
Awesome.
And
Was that That was 2017.
17.
That was so prior to that. I mean, grocery stores like Bud Light Platinum was the highest ABV you could get in a grocery store, and it was at like 6 or 6.1
That was
or
some
something
bullshit.
like that. Like
Yeah.
during the times when
Hey,
like Dogfish
don't be
Head,
so harsh on Bud Platinum.
Well, back during the times when like before Dogfish Head was everywhere, like people were like on the lookout for 60-minute IPA, 90-minute.
Yep.
You couldn't get it in grocery stores.
That's
Like,
right.
you had to go. You found these places that were opening up like liquor stores next door.
Yep.
To say if you want to buy this 6.2 or 6.3 and above, you got to go to the liquor store next door to do that, which was really weird. And I couldn't. 2017, that was the year.
Yep.
I feel like it was it was further back than that, but I guess wow.
We launched beer in Chattanooga. God, probably 15. And when we were down there, every time I would go to Chattanooga, I'd cross the border into Georgia to go to Fort Oglethorpe.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
To get Ballast Point.
Yep.
Because God, what the hell's the name of their awesome IPA?
Sculpin.
Sculpin.
Yeah.
Because Sculpin was like 6.8.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know
And you
their-
could
their
only get
Victor
it
is
Heavy
C.
hitter.
Yeah. Like you can only get it if you cross the border.
Yeah.
And like I would cross the border in the Oglethorpe and go to this brewery. I remember, like liquor store. I remember the first time I went in there, I called my guy at the distributor in Chattanooga. It was like, "Where did you send me?" Like it was super ghetto. I was terrified. But I went into this place, and you could get all this awesome craft beer that you couldn't get in Tennessee.
Yeah,
There
I was.
was-
I
Oh, go
was
ahead.
spoiled. I grew up in Vegas, so we had
Nice.
liquor at grocery stores any time of any day, whatever. It doesn't matter, holidays, whatever. And then I went to school in California, in LA. So then I just had craft beer at
Everywhere.
any whim. So
Yeah.
yeah, Ballast Point was probably my favorite before they got bought.
Mm.
Down there and like that Victory at Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
What a great beer.
Yeah.
And then a
Mhm.
barrel aged one. Yeah, so good.
Beautiful.
Are we doing all right on time?
Oh, yeah.
Do I
sure,
talk
we're
too
good.
much?
No.
You're good.
Honestly, we stay organic, so
Okay.
However
It is
long
what
we
it
want to
is,
go.
yeah.
I should have told you before we started what you were getting into.
You've heard of long-winded, right?
So it's really funny. So Isaiah, who runs our sales department, and I have we've got an internet radio show called Dad Rock Block on Acme Radio Live. So this is a shameless plug if you ever want to
Do it.
listen to a
Plug.
bunch of idiots drink beer and make fun of each other.
Love
I
it.
mean, it's not dissimilar to what's happening right now, minus music. You can check us out on acmeradiolive.com/dadrockblock. But our engineer guy, every time we get together, is like, "Hey, tick, 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 tick. Like, you've only got this much time. You got to be careful." So
Oh yeah,
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
But special is a Belgian double. So your classic Belgian double is Chimay Blue,
Mhm.
right? And so we run Chimay's yeast, but we, just like Chimay does, we use Belgian candy sugar to give it a nice dark color without giving it a lot of dark flavor like you would get from a porter or a stout. So it's really dark red, maybe brown,
Between
mostly dark
yeah,
red.
like a deep ruby.
And then we put a little orange peel at the end of the boil to give it a little citrus character. So for a 7.4 beer, it
7.4,
finishes
okay.
really dry.
Yeah.
This is my favorite barbecue beer. So we are very, very fortunate to have a barbecue food truck who comes here every Tuesday and Thursday during lunchtime from 11 to 2 named Adams Barbecue.
Adams.
And Adams makes the smokiest, most delicious, like freaking hard-on barbecue that you would ever want. But he's here during lunch, so our tap room's not open. But he's here. But this is the beer. When I go outside and pick up a Adams barbecue sandwich on some random Tuesday or Thursday, and I sit in here and eat a brisket sandwich with no sauce because it doesn't need
That
sauce,
good, Yeah.
Yep.
I drink a special.
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
That sounds great right now. I
Yeah.
could go for some brisket.
We went to
We all
Atlanta one time and we wanted barbecue,
Yes.
and we weren't forewarned that they sauced their barbecue and chopped
This, yeah, it was an odd place because we walked in and we're like, we're about to get some good barbecue, like that area where it's like you're gonna get good super sloshed with like saucy barbecue and everything, and I was just like, nah, I wasn't expecting that.
it. Yeah.
Pulled pork was not smoky,
Mm-mm.
brisket was not smoky, and there was just sauce everywhere on it. And I go, hey, sauce can definitely level up some barbecue. Don't get me wrong, and I like sauce on barbecue.
But it shouldn't be a crutch.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be the main ingredient of your barbecue. And that day it was.
Yeah.
That day it was.
Really disappointed because it was one of those joints that you just knew like there's some good food here, but completely the opposite on that day. But
This does finish drier. I
Yeah.
like that.
It's dry.
I don't
and it's
expect
crisp.
that when you're drinking it. You don't expect it's. I'm expecting like this. Well, it's sweet on the front, like sweet on the nose, but it slowly goes up. Like throughout the sip, it slowly goes from sweet, almost to like it dissipates a little bit, and then right at the very last second, it just dries
Yeah.
out on you.
A lot of those dark stone, like I get a lot of plum out of
Yep.
it. It's like
Oh,
just
yeah.
a darker stone fruit.
Yeah.
It's like edging on sweet, but not quite. But you
Yeah.
still get like that rich body and character from it. But
Like imagine you're drinking or you're drinking
you're drunk.
special.
Oh, I'm kidding.
Imagine you're drunk
I
like
can do
me.
that.
But imagine you're sitting eating a brisket sandwich, right? Like you got this high lipid content.
Don't do this.
All right.
I'm hungry right now.
I'm gonna go get some barbecue
No.
for us.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Imagine I'm eating a brisket
Think about
sandwich.
this. Your mouth is watering.
Yes, there we go. That's
You're
better.
sitting in a restaurant. You can hear a Jerry Clower sketch playing on the PA. Do y'all know who Jerry Clower is?
I don't.
Come on now. All right. So
I'm very bad with any names of any band.
Is this a-
it's not a band. Not a
Is this
band.
Is this a stand-up comedy?
It's a
Is this-
comedian.
Okay.
Yep. So think about.
Is this an okay?
All right. Imagine 1970s Bill Cosby,
Ooh.
only white and southern.
Chocolate
That's
cake for
Jerry Clower,
breakfast.
right?
Jerry
He's
Clower.
from Mississippi. He doesn't tell jokes. He tells stories.
Stories. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
That's Jerry Clower. So
Okay.
there's a barbecue place here in town called Martin's Barbecue,
Barbecue.
and Pat Martin is the owner.
Yeah.
Pat does, in addition to all the barbecue and all the recipes, Pat also does the playlists of what gets played in that bar. And so Pat, his playlist mix is like 85% outlaw country,
Nice.
right?
Yes.
So it's like Waylon, Johnny
Mhm.
Paycheck, Willie Nelson, like
Waylon.
85% outlaw country.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
Occasionally.
Then 5% hair metal,
Mhm.
Ah.
right?
Yeah.
So Sabbath,
Mm.
Iron Maiden, whatever. Then another 5% classic rock, heavier rock.
Like
so you
Southern
might
rock,
get
or-
you might get like Def Leppard,
Okay.
you might get Molly Hatchet, you might get Leonard Skinner,
Mhm.
right? So now we're at 95%. The remaining 5% is Jerry Clower. So you're sitting in this barbecue place and you're just like, all right, all on the road again. Like you're getting all this Willie Nelson action. And then all of a sudden you get some like ludicrous comedy sketch that goes on for 10 minutes and you're like, I can't hardly hear this. What the hell's happening?
It needs to be heard.
Yeah, it's classic. Anyway.
That's great. Oh man.
But anyway,
I'm gonna have to
so
listen to it.
Martin's for a long, many years
Mm.
carried Special. And it was the absolute perfect pairing with their brisket sandwich. And then there was a dark day when Martin's didn't carry Special anymore. The ABV law changed and they started
Aw.
carrying other stuff, and it was fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. However, what I think for all of you listeners that may be here in Nashville, if you just walk into a Martin's barbecue restaurant
Mm-hmm.
and ask them for a Belgian style double from your friends at Black Abbey Brewing Company, that a real difference could be made
It's up
in
to
the
you.
world.
Pledge
It-
now.
It's up to you.
Only you
Yes.
can make a difference.
Only you can make a difference. There is a duck covered in oil right now
Mm-hmm.
that might die.
In the arms of the angel.
Not the sad animal commercials.
That's what it's got to be.
Sarah McLachlan now.
Instead, it's just the beer that's fading in.
You bastards!
Just
What
in-
kind of podcast is this?
just the beer in a cage, just sitting back there, just helpless.
And then a
Needs to
bunch of
be
people in the
rescued.
background
Right.
just drinking it
Yes.
and then
Mhm.
sopping.
Right.
It's really good.
Black Abbey Special will remove oil from ducks.
Yeah.
Alex is like, Christ, get
And also
out of here.
put hair on your chest.
Yes. Many years ago, I worked at St. Patrick's Cathedral in Manhattan, and that was where I was introduced to chartreuse.
Oh.
So chartreuse, right? There's two kinds of chartreuse, green and yellow,
Mhm.
and it's made by Carthusian monks. And the monks, this is fascinating, honestly. The monks, there are 3 locations where chartreuse is made.
Oh, okay.
It's like part A, part B, and part C. And yellow and green are made of some combination of part A and part B and part C. But the part A, part B, and part C monks never meet. They don't know each other. The formulas are completely specific to their locations. So
Wow.
the combination is absolutely secret. No one knows. So if you drink chartreuse yellow or chartreuse green, like there's not some master distiller somewhere that's putting that together. It's made at different places by monks who've never met
That's
one
dope.
another.
That's
Like,
cool.
it's-
That's cool as hell.
It's so cool. It's so insane, right? Like these guys have been making this shit for generations and millennia, right? And nobody knows how to put the whole thing together.
Do they still fetch the scroll when they have to make it?
I don't know.
Right.
Maybe.
They probably just etched it in stone at this point.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Or it's like the
I hope-
Coca-Cola recipe where it's like locked away in a vault somewhere.
I hope somewhere
Cocaine.
that it's tattooed on somebody's
Lift your
Doink.
shirt.
Right.
Yeah.
Schlong. if you
Yes. We can only make this beer when Brother Philip has an erection.
The recipe is too long.
Alex is
So early
God
mornings.
bless America.
Get this man a girl.
Please
ASAP.
bring us
We need to
another
know the
beer.
recipe. That was awesome, man. Thank you so much for that one.
I've been curious about the chartreuse for a while because I've had. Okay.
Bottoms up.
Got a baby schedule to
There
keep.
you go.
Listen,
That
if
was
you
good.
have not tried chartreuse,
Well-
you really should.
There was a beer event a year or so ago where chartreuse was there mixing it with a little bit of the beers, and it gave a whole new profile to them. And I wanted to know more about it, but I had the idea that I was just one of the beer drinkers there, so I didn't get to hear the stories, the insight, or the details. But
Yeah.
I got to enjoy the mix. So I've definitely been wanting to research it more.
So when I worked at St. Pat's,
Mm-hmm.
the rector of the cathedral, the Monsignor, his name was Anthony Dalla Villa,
Mm.
and he was about as Italian as they come,
Mm.
and he would love to tell people, I was born in America, but I was made in Italy. This guy, right? And so he's the one who was like, hey, have you ever had chartreuse? And I was 22. I'm like, father, no. He's like, listen, you need to try chartreuse because it'll put hair on your hair.
Mm.
He used to say that all the time.
It'll put hair on
Chartreuse,
your
it'll put hair on your hair. And so I didn't know. So I looked it all up, right? Like, this is 96, maybe.
Oh, okay.
So early Google, early.
Yeah. Oh, there was that weird search engine for a while. Ask
Jeeves.
Jeeves. Yeah.
Alta Vista. This is the Windows 95 era.
Jeeves,
Yeah.
Jeeves.
please look up chartreuse.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was fascinating because this has been going on since the 1200s, 1300s, where these monks are making this ludicrous herbal fucking, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, can I swear on this?
Yes.
Yeah,
of
okay.
course.
Like,
Fuck yeah.
they're making this insane liqueur made out of secret blends of different herbs and botanicals, and you're like, what?
That's
and-
wild.
It's so fun and interesting, and honestly, it's so much of the beer culture. All right, are you ready? Because I'm going to ask you to put on some tinfoil hats.
Okay. Let's do this.
I'm all about some conspiracy, by
Okay.
the way.
Mhm.
All about it.
All right, so Luther in 1516
Mm.
writes the 95 Theses and nails them to the door of the castle church in Wittenberg, Germany, right? Saying
Wasn't enough just this voice his frustrations.
It was
he had
not.
to go and nail it
he
on
had
the
to
door
go
itself.
and nail it to the door. And
Yep.
everybody thinks like, all right, this is a big dramatic event. Like this monk is going to climb up these
Mhm.
stairs with this scroll and whatever. And it's not like that at all. There were no stairs. None. He just walked up to the door.
Nailed
But
it.
he probably had a scroll. Was it in German? No. It was in Latin because he was an academic.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he nails this thing to the door, but it was very common. Like this was like sending a letter to the editor, right? Everybody was doing this. This was like, I've got a lost dog. My neighbor hasn't cut their grass. Like there's a million. Like this is like next door
Yeah.
of the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
Do y'all
Freaking
listen?
next
Do
They
y'all-
just they didn't like
Have
they
y'all
didn't
got
like
Next
post
Door?
something on like their
Man,
Facebook
Next
neighborhood
Door-
page or something.
Yeah.
It's full of
Yeah.
drama.
It's like next door.
Yeah.
This is like
for the ancient times.
right. When neighbors talk, good things happen.
Yeah.
Right. So Luther shows up, he nails this shit to the door, right? Like this is very common. But God damn it, Alex.
He brought lots more beers.
Beers.
Where's I going with this?
Chartreuse.
Oh.
We're still on chartreuse. Cool.
No, we're still on chartreuse.
So Luther
Alex
was
was
just
thought
stuck
I
on
left long enough.
chartreuse when he nailed
No,
that shit.
he
to-
no, but he wasn't. I don't know. I completely lost my train of thought.
I didn't say anything.
I
just-
know
Maybe
you
a
did.
beer
We're all
would help
aware.
you remember your
Yeah.
thoughts.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Well, there's something between beer and chartreuse. I just want to find out what that.
It is. But
Yeah.
anyway, so
Chartreuse
Luther
bomb?
rolls up
Yeah.
to the Castle Church in Wittenberg and voices his issue with the Roman Church by nailing his theses to the door, right? This is 1517.
Tinfoil hat conspiracy.
Yes.
Yes.
There it is.
Yep.
Here we go.
Oh, okay.
That's
Here we go.
1517.
Yeah.
1516 is the Bavarian beer purity law called Reinheitsgebot. Reinheitsgebot says that beer should be made from water,
yeast.
yeast, malt, hops.
That's it.
4 things.
Mm-hmm.
Before those 4 things, what was beer made from? Water, malt,
yeast.
yeast.
And an
No,
assortment of other
It
things.
wasn't. It was. Oh, I know the
What
answer
was
to
that
this.
You do
Water.
malt.
Malt,
It wasn't 4
yeast.
things.
It was
was
just
3
3.
things.
It was the 3, right?
Water, malt. Because
Hops.
they didn't know what yeast was.
Right.
So
They
hops.
called it God is good. All one word. God is gut. I'm putting a German accent on it.
It is a
God is
miracle.
gut.
It's a miracle organism. Let's be
It
honest.
was a miracle. They just threw the windows open and the shit fermented. But it was water, malt,
And hops.
and gruit.
Grew it.
Or, as the Germans used to call it, Groot. I am Groot.
I am Groot.
Right? Before there was some stupid Marvel movie, Groot was the bittering agent.
Hops wasn't part of that.
Not at all.
equation at the
Not
time.
at all. So Groot was a
Groot.
bittering agent that was used in fermented beverage, right? So in the Middle Ages, Groot was a recipe that was owned and contained and sold by the Roman Church. So the
Anything to make a
breweries
buck, huh?
effectively had to purchase the Gruit ingredients from the Roman Church
Oh,
in
man.
order to make beer. Beer, like you couldn't just drink water in the Middle Ages
No,
because
you'd
it was
die.
foul,
Yep.
right? Like you'd just be pulling water out of the river where somebody just took a crap,
Mhm.
right? So you had to
Or the whole
boil
family
it,
took a
Yeah.
crap.
right? And if you're going to boil it, you might as well put Gruit in it. Next thing you know, you got alcohol, right? So everybody's drinking Gruit. The thing about Gruit is nobody knows to today what was in the recipe for Gruit. We suspect, but we don't know.
Right.
But the items that were in Gruit, they suspect, were psychotropic. So was the Middle Ages church engaged in mind control? I think so, right? You're talking about mugwort. You're talking about wild rosemary. You're talking about, I mean, all manner of random weird herbs.
These cool mushrooms we found growing in this
Right.
It's
rock.
not
Right,
that
yeah.
far of a stretch.
It's really not
No.
that far of
No.
a stretch.
Uh-uh.
To think that the Middle Ages church that Martin Luther rebelled against was engaged in mind control, that was telling people, you should give money to this St. Peter's Basilica that we're trying to build.
Right.
Like
Well, this ingredient that we're
the
giving you makes you
95
feel so
Theses
good.
were really like, hey man, I put hops in my beer and I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
Right? Like
Yeah.
it's not an outrageous concept
No.
that Martin Luther was like, hey, you need to back up off this mind control shit. It's not crazy. I'm not crazy.
No, but
You don't look crazy. No.
Not at all.
On this podcast today, you heard it here first, folks, on the Foamy Heads.
Carl Meier is not crazy.
I'm pulling back the curtain.
Sell.
this thesis didn't write itself.
Theses 96.
Thesis 96.
Roman Church involved in mind control. You heard it here first,
That's
folks.
right.
I think ancient aliens would have
On
something
some
to say
beer
about that.
podcast.
These poor bastards are like, oh, shit. Why did I come to this?
This 40-minute episode is going to be about 2 minutes. So.
This guy. Hey, Carl,
Intro
thanks
and
for stopping
outro.
by. I know you sampled us on 4 beers, but We only got to hear about 2. Thanks for our 7-minute episode.
Do you have 2 different beers there, by the way?
Yes, I'm glad you asked.
Oh,
So
okay.
we have our Belgian triple,
Yep.
Chapelle, however you want to say it, and then we have the Jameson barrel-aged version.
Ooh,
Of
I
that
have-
beer.
That'll be
I just brought a little
That'll
bit just
be
so we can
nice.
taste the
Okay,
difference.
that's perfect. Thank you.
This is the last of the gold, forever. Rest in peace. Whatever you do. But yeah, so I figured we'd try the Chapelle and then the
That's
barrel-aged
perfect.
version.
Just right in that order.
Thank you very
Perfect,
much
exactly,
for that. That's
Yeah.
going to be excellent.
So
try it.
Black Abbey was one of 20 breweries in the United States to partner with Jameson Irish whiskey.
This is
Jameson.
actually, I'm sorry. This was one of my questions actually I had for you. Was like the history of how the Jameson partnership,
You mean before I
into
got
play.
on my weird conspiracy rant?
or after,
Or
could have
after.
been one of those.
Yeah.
I'm
All
just
right.
interested.
All right, ask.
Jameson started the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
John Jameson
Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Jingle Schmidt. Okay. Yeah, I like it. I don't know where
Just
we're going
allow
with
it the
this,
one time.
but I like it.
Anyway, to the Chapelle.
Yeah.
So this beer is called Grand Design, which is named after a song on Rush's Power Windows, Grand Designs.
I had
The
this
idea was when we first launched this beer, the law changed 2017. Let's roll a big Belgian beer.
Mm.
Sorry, I'm hiccuping.
It's all good.
Uh,
If you need a burp, feel free.
No,
That's how they know you're drinking.
you'll know.
That's right.
But the idea was with this beer to name something that we like to bake in
Mhm.
multiple level callbacks, right?
Hmm.
And so to say, all right, we're going to do a Belgian triple. Great. Let's call it Grand Design. Awesome. What does that mean? Well, Grand Design is our ultimate idea was to do a triple, even though Tennessee law was so restrictive that we couldn't do anything over 6.2. So the Grand Design was to do something that was big. Okay. Secondarily, our Grand Design is like biblical.
Hmm.
Biblical Grand Design. We're Calvinists. We got this idea. We got this
Biblically
big biblical
accurate.
idea that there's a grand design that drives everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Tertiarily,
Ooh. Nice.
there's
Look
a
that up,
Rush
folks.
album called Power Windows that was
Power
released in the mid 80s where there was a track called Grand Designs,
Mm.
right? That talks about waves and lines and grand designs. And Grand Design sort of fit all of those pieces. Also, when we dropped Grand Design and we're putting it in the cans, all of a sudden it was 2020
Mm.
and everything was closed. What a nightmare. Like a horrible nightmare.
Yeah.
Our tap room has 2 permits. We have a permit for on premise and we have a permit for off premise. So we can do both. We can sell beer in here for you to drink, or we can sell beer
Sell it,
for you
like,
to take go and go home.
Okay.
Right. So in 2020, when everything was like, okay, nobody can sell on prem, that's fine. We have an off prem, so we can still sell beer for people to go.
Mhm.
And when we did that, is when we launched Grand Design. It was already in process. We were about to send it out draft, but when all that stuff in 2020 happened,
Hmm.
we're like, well, let's put it in cans and we could sell it. And honestly, this is funny. It just worked out this way. We sold it for $21.12 a 4-pack.
Hmm.
21.12. Because that's such a Rush thing.
Yeah, it is.
And honestly, in that time, like that's a lot of money to ask for a 4-pack. But people were so invested in our brand
Mhm.
and wanting to support our brand
Yeah.
that they were like 21.12, I'm in.
Yeah.
And they did. And they bought it and they took it home, and we had people who'd come in and buy cases and cases of it. And I'm like,
To this day, we still have a guy who comes in and buys 4 cases at a time.
it's just
Wow.
That's
I don't know.
dedication.
Yeah.
I mean, they want you here.
I'm so grateful for the folks that during that dark time, like
Mm-hmm.
2020 into 2021, when not just Nashville, but the federal and international community was restricting what we could and couldn't do.
Yeah.
That still came in here and bought beer and took it home and supported our brand. It's unbelievably touching, and I'm so grateful for people who like helped our brand and kept us afloat. Like, God, man,
They want to see you succeed, man.
Yeah.
they did. And I mean, honestly, it was so great. It's funny. I'm really good friends with the people here in Nashville from Jackalope Brewing,
Mhm.
and they're such a delightful group of people. But I've always been jealous because their tap room on 8th Avenue was right in the middle of the Gulch.
Oh,
And so you get a lot of tourist folks, and their tap room might be bumping, and it was crazy. And we'd be out here on Sidco, which is literally only 5 miles from there. Maybe not even that many,
Probably not like that.
maybe 3. But they'd be down there in the Gulch, and it's crazy and it's busy. But man, in that pandemic era, from March, from like St. Patrick's Day of 2020 until
Probably.
Memorial Day
Yeah.
of 21
Yeah, I was gonna
ish,
say it would have been almost a little over a year.
that Gulch location of Jackalope closed.
Mm.
And we didn't. Like, the neighborhood folks that were coming here and buying beer here and hanging out here and taking beer home, they kept our brand
Yeah.
afloat.
Yep.
And I'm so grateful for the like folks who were just like, you know what, like Black Abbey's they're my boo,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they're my bae.
Here are pay.
Well, cheers to them.
Here's to them.
Did
Yeah.
Cheers.
I know.
did I use that lingo right?
Yes, you did great.
Yeah, see,
10,
look
10
at
for
me.
10.
Totes.
Totes Bay.
Yeah, Totes Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was quite fire.
Literal fire.
Podcast AF MF.
That was lit.
AF.
So lit.
So
Man,
lit.
I have to say the pandemic increased my beer budget significantly.
Yeah.
I had all this money, you know where to spend it.
That's
You
right.
know, like it's gonna be beer.
Mhm.
Well, and Mitch and I talk about this when I'm glad this came up naturally, because sometimes like you don't want to talk about hard times and talk about times like that, but
Sure.
like when you feel like the time is right to bring it up, we like to talk about it. So it's welcoming for you guys to just automatically share that information. But you know, when everybody was locked down, that was when Mitch and I were already kind of starting to do this thing where we would get together and we would just talk about the beers that we were making and or drinking. And then I used to homebrew also, but we talk about the beers that we're drinking. And so we kind of got into this vibe of like, let's just start talking about the beer that we're drinking. And at the time, the focus really wasn't, let's focus on like what's inside the heads of the owners and the breweries and talking to them. It was more of just like an entertainment thing where we could just talk. And then COVID came and then just like shut everything down. So like it forced Mitch and myself to be in our homes, but we still liked doing what we were doing. So it was like, well, what are we going to, you know, we joke about the tagline when, you know, in a lot of our early episodes, kind of like the begin point was, what are we drinking? Well, a lot of times we didn't know what we were going to be drinking because we didn't have anything in the house. And it was like, well, what can we do? We're stuck in the house. We're locked up. And it was like, well, these guys do to-go beers. These guys do to-go beers. So like we spent our money during those times going and buying 4-packs and 6-packs and just random stuff just to come home and jump on a mic and talk about it, you know? And then slowly as we started doing that, you make connections with people and breweries in the area that just want to talk about it. And so now that we're kind of, you know, Lord willing, on the other side of this, there's all other kinds of fucked up shit going around. But like now that we're kind of on the other side of this and we're out in the open now and everybody's getting back together and talking about being able to reflect back on that and say, what did you do during the lockdown? Was like, well, we spent money at Black Abbey. Well, we spent money at Bearded Irish. We went to Living Waters and got stouts. Like that's what we did. We literally just spent money at breweries just so we could sit and talk about it. And now we're actually sitting in front of people and being able to share that story. So it comes full circle.
Yeah.
You know, but I know you wouldn't want anybody to go through a time like what we went through, but it was an experience that you guys that have made it through, can look back and being able to share that story. And it's very insightful and it's very enlightening. And people like us, Mitch and I, were grateful for you guys that not only, kind of had to pivot a little bit during that transition, because this was something that nobody knew how to handle, but you made it through on the other side. And as a result, now we get to sit here with you guys and drink your beer and talk about it. So it's humbling for us. Yeah.
And I'm going to say, and I hope that the people who hear this don't take this in the wrong way, but I'm going to say it in a way that it's intended. If you are making purchasing decisions and you're buying things like Happy Dad or White Claw, like these are trend-driven beverages that honestly, like, they taste good. I can't take anything away from it.
They really don't, though.
But I mean, you do you.
All right.
It's fine.
I agree.
I'm not going to lie.
Go on, Boo.
I mean, I drank a Sonic seltzer yesterday and it was fine.
Oh, what's the name of that? The Sonic. They have what?
I mean, I drank a cherry limeade.
Okay,
it was fine.
They have some sort of like seltzer drink now.
But I'm just saying, as you follow trends, as you drink things that show up in the mental paradigm of this is what's next, just remember
TikTok.
Yes, as you see this crap on TikTok and you're like, my daughter. So my oldest is 17.
Oh yeah.
And the other day she's in the shower and I walk by the bathroom and I can hear her music playing, and she's playing Black Cow by Steely Dan.
What?
And I'm like, that's my music.
Done good.
I have succeeded as a father. And so after she has showered and cleaned her, whenever she's cleaned up and she comes out in the other room, I was like, hey,
let's talk.
What's up with the Steely Dan? She's like, whatever. That was a TikTok trend.
Oh.
And I, like, my heart broke into several pieces, but like TikTok is driving these trends and you're like, what is happening? But I would just like to say to the listenership of the Foamy Heads, please remember that when you buy beer from a local supplier, that you are supporting your neighbors. You are supporting your friends.
Yes.
You are taking money that you earned and putting it back into your community through people who are building companies in your community. It's so critically important
Employing
that
people.
like it makes me so angry that, and like we're based in Nashville, Tennessee, and Tennessee is in the buckle of the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
And my friend Linus, who owns Yazoo Brewing Company here in town, told me this story, and I know it's true, where he went in front of the Tennessee state legislature and talked to individual legislators about fixing the beer tax. So the wholesale tax in the state of Tennessee is the highest in the country.
Oh.
If we were to cut it in half, we would still be number 5.
Wow.
It's not even close. And he had a legislator say to him, Jesus Christ turned water into wine, not into beer or whiskey, sir.
Wow. Shows you where we are there.
I just want to remind you that here in Tennessee and across the country, many places, when you go and buy locally made products, whether they are beer or liquor or wine, you are supporting your neighbors. You are supporting normal people who are doing good jobs that are supplying a product that you want. Do not turn your back on your neighbors because of some outdated, outrageous philosophy that is honestly not biblically founded.
Yeah.
Like, please take the opportunity to support. This is a true story. So we'd been open about 2 years. Black Abbey had been open about 2 years. And I had a guy who worked at a company literally on the street behind us come over and said, hey, I'm coaching a little league baseball team. and I would love for you guys to sponsor our team. And I said, that sounds awesome. I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, Creve Hall baseball. So I live in a little subsect of Nashville called Creve Hall. And
Close to Antioch area, isn't
yeah,
it?
we're literally
Like
less
right next
than
door.
3 miles from Creve Hall. And Creve Hall has a prolific baseball program, Little League baseball program. And I was like, yeah, we would love to have the Black Abbey Brewers in the Creve Hall Baseball League. That sounds awesome.
Nice.
Great. So I bring it to my partners and our attorney, and they say, that's a terrible idea. We can't do it.
What?
I'm like, why not? And our attorney says, well, based on the TTB, which is the Alcohol, Tobacco, Tax, and Trade Bureau, which is who regulates breweries in the United States from a federal level, advertising to underage individuals is frowned upon. I'm like, well, I'm actually advertising to their parents,
Right.
right? That seems to make sense.
They're
Like,
mad at Bud Light for doing it
they're
at baseball
5.
games.
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing.
They're like
They
a
can't
family
read.
staple already.
like they, when the schedule comes in and
They can
it
barely
says
hit the ball.
like their little team, the Black Abbey Brewers, is playing the Creve Hall Bagel Makers or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Like you can't. That's ridiculous.
They both got yeast.
But anyway, so
Fair point.
so the whole thing got shit on and canceled, and I felt real bad. But the thing is, like, we're your neighbors. I
Right.
literally live next door to you.
Yeah.
We breweries, and it's funny. So we opened it in 2013. Like Black Abbey opened in 2013.
Hmm.
We were at the time the 7th brewery in Nashville. In the United States, there were about 2,000 breweries. In 2022, right now, there are about 10,000 breweries in the United States. An outrageous number. Like the number of breweries in the United States has grown astronomically.
Mm-hmm.
Why can breweries not sponsor Little League teams? Why is there not the Black Abbey Brewers at the Creve Hall Little League team? It's outrageous.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like we're some sinful bastards with.
it's not like we're selling alcohol to
No,
the kids to
no,
play.
not at
It's
all.
not like there's freaking hookers out there dancing
Right.
on poles, right? Like, we're your
Man.
neighbors. We're making beer and we're providing a service to the neighborhood that is important. And I think
Mhm.
I don't know. I get my feelings hurt and I hate it.
No,
But
I agree 100%. Like, where's the damage? There's nothing.
there's nothing.
The kids will go cool
Yes. Like,
and move on.
Like, I'm not gonna
do
lie.
they know what a Blue Jay is?
Right.
Probably not.
No,
probably
But their
not.
team name is the Blue Jays. So
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, the Milwaukee Brewers. They're brewers.
Yeah, brewers.
They're making beer in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
They're brewers.
I'm sure kids watch them play.
Well, Mitch and I talk about I've made we made our first trip to Asheville not too long ago.
Look at the last round before.
Oh, okay.
We made a trip to Asheville together not too long ago to talk to some breweries in the area, but I had been a few times before, and there's always a place in my heart for going to New Belgium. When I walked to New Belgium Brewing, there were mom and dads, little families with like little kids. It's a very outdoor, welcoming environment. Mom and dads are just sitting having a beer. Kids are playing cornhole. They're just outside playing
Yeah.
or whatever. New Belgium isn't sitting there like saying, "Hey, kids, drink this beer."
Yeah.
You know, they're providing a service for the
It's a
parents
family
to have a
space.
drink. It's a family
Yes.
space.
Yeah.
That's what it's
And
about.
it's funny. I think
Sorry,
there
I was
are,
expecting the Belgian. I mean the barrel aged.
there's a lot of discussion going on and has been for years about kids in tap rooms. Right. Like, there are some people who feel very strongly that kids should not be in tap rooms. This is a bar. This is a place for adults, whatever. And there are other people who are like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you can take your kids to a Charlie's. You
Right.
can take your kids to Walmart. Who
Mhm.
cares? You can take your kids anywhere. It's really funny. So this is true. So every time the phone rings in the Black Abbey tap room, if I'm standing back there, I will say to the bartenders, food truck or dogs? Every time. Right?
Wow.
Because that is usually the question that is asked when I answer the phone. Black Abbey, this is Carl.
Will they have a food truck or,
Yay,
or dogs
you got a
allowed?
food truck today? Can I bring my dog?
Yeah.
Right?
Huh.
Those are the two common. Number 3 is, are you guys family friendly?
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Those are 1, 2, 3. Food truck, dogs, kids.
Mhm.
And why do you have to call and ask me?
Right.
Right? Of course we're family friendly.
Yes.
Like, please bring your kids.
Yes.
Now, what I will say is, if you're going to bring your kids, and all right,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is more than you wanted to know, but I'm going to tell you.
bring it.
So, Carl, first job, I worked at St. Pat's in Manhattan,
Mm-hmm.
and then I worked for United Way in Westchester, New York, and then I moved to United Way in Nashville, and then I went to work for AmSouth Bank. So I was a banker for a little while, and after working for the bank, I went to work for Glenlevin Presbyterian Church Day School, and I was a daycare teacher. And before I was a preschool teacher, like I did preschool, and then I came to work here. So your first taproom manager,
Mm-hmm.
me, was a preschool teacher.
Yeah.
Which is why he can put up with me, by the way.
And so- exactly. But I think that it is very important for when you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to come into a place, whether it's a bar or a retail establishment or whatever it is. I'm going to come into this place with my kids. What are you going to do with your kids?
Mm-hmm.
Who's in charge of your kids? Is it you or is it me? And as a former preschool teacher, it was very easy for me to step in the role of I'm in charge of your kids,
Mm-hmm.
which may not agree with what you want.
Right.
And I think that the like the brain space that taprooms have established, and this is certainly true of Black Abbey, but I think across the board is, hey, we can be we are a professional establishment. You need to be in charge of your own kids.
Exactly.
Like, you can't, this isn't some bounce house. This isn't Bounce You. This isn't some trampoline place. Like, we're a bar. You are here to enjoy time with your family,
Yep.
but you still need to be in charge of your little babies.
Yes.
We love them. We want them to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Please come on.
Yeah.
But you just got to eyeball them.
Yeah. Yeah. And
True that.
I got to pee.
yeah.
All right.
I'm
Go
going to
for
be
it.
right back.
Enjoy.
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't leave.
Pack
Yeah.
up. Go, go, go.
I feel like every time when I was growing up, my parents were very much on the
They
idea of,
definitely, yeah.
you know, drinking's bad, you know, all that kind of thing. Never went to a bar growing up, so what did that make it even more interesting?
Right.
Mhm.
So if you bring your kids to a space that's family centric, friendly, but you get to enjoy beverages, but you need to still control yourself
Mhm.
and respect the space,
Yep.
control your kid. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. I don't have kids, so
I can control your kid.
thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It's like it's a space for everyone to enjoy themselves. Bring your family.
Mm-hmm.
Let them know it's not a threat to you or anyone. It's a friendly space. Where's the? I just don't get it. I don't get it.
You married, kids?
Anything?
Married, no kids.
Okay.
A cat which acts like
I've
a
got,
kid.
I've got two
Kid
cats.
1.0.
Kid 1.0.
Yeah.
She poops in weird places sometimes, you know.
Yep,
It's all the
yep,
same.
yep, yep.
It's the same thing, basically.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of kids at the tap room, like, it's great that families bring their kids because, like you were saying, I didn't have that. I grew up in a very strict
Traditional style home.
tradition. Yeah, so the church I went to started as Baptist and it moved to non-denominational, but it definitely still
yeah.
had the Baptist roots.
Mhm.
But everything was off limits, right? Like,
Right.
you know, thinking about anything sexual, no.
Right.
Thinking about alcohol, no.
Mhm.
Cigarettes, no. You know,
Mhm.
so
Any vices, any.
and
Yeah.
at 18, I joined the army, right? And I realized real quick that's not how the real world
No,
is,
it
right?
is. No,
Right.
no,
And
no.
you know, I held on to my, I guess, staunch morals for a while.
Mhm.
And I was like, no, I'm not ever going to do this. I'm never going to do this. And then, you know, like I got to the point I had gone to Iraq and I came back and I'm like,
Mm.
you know what? Life's too short
For sure.
to not, not go crazy and kill yourself, but
Mhm.
to
Enjoy
enjoy
yourself.
it, right? And beer was something that I learned that I enjoyed. So naturally, I just moved into the craft beer world. That kind of stuff. I've never had an issue with it. Thank God. Never have to have like 3 shots a night before I go to bed. Nothing like that. But
Good.
I really enjoy the complexity of specifically beer. Never really been into like hard liquors or anything,
Mhm.
but beers and I come from the coffee world directly, and there's a lot of correlations. Like coffee all kind of looks the same, all kind of smells the same, but there's very subtle nuances within that depending on how you brew it, the grind size, where it's sourced, when it was grown, all this kind of stuff. And the same is true for beer, right? Like different generations of yeast is going to produce a slightly different beer,
Mhm.
and different years of grain might produce a different flavor profile of that beer. So it's really, really fun for me to like have moved from the coffee world into the beer world, and now be here and have useless knowledge that I can throw up on people who don't ask for it.
Works me. And now you work at a brewery.
Now I work at a brewery.
Who would have
All
thought
right.
that would have been the
Flavors
plan?
are awesome.
They are. And I love good things.
Yeah, I never really experienced good coffee till later, like mid-20s.
Okay.
I started experimenting like single origin and all the different flavors that people can do with roasting process and all that. Opened up a lot of doors. I already liked like tea, white tea, green tea, some black teas, but they were all. It was just a new space for me, and then coffee here started expanding more and more and more, just distribution wise. So
Yeah, and I worked at a really high end. It's called Blue Bottle, like a really nice coffee shop on the West Coast. That like the owner literally would roast beans in his oven and hand deliver them to his customers.
that's
And then
amazing.
he ended up growing the company, and like the entire concept was simple is better, right? So like you don't need to add sugar and flavor and all this other stuff to your coffee for it to taste good. You need good coffee and know how to prepare it. And the same is true. What I've learned in home brewing is with brewing, right? If you get good product and you prepare it properly, you have a higher chance of having a better end product. That's what I like about Black Abbey's. It's usually pretty good end products.
Cheers to that.
Definitely.
Usually,
I
Ben gets crazy sometimes.
I just finished the barrel aged version of that, and
Yeah, we skipped
That
right
was
over
wonderful.
that.
Like
That
a
was wonderful.
caramelized banana,
Yes,
slightly
yes.
sweet,
Yes.
little caramely. It's really nice. Yeah.
it really was nice to have them side by side. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
And
That was a good call.
it's old.
It is
Like,
old.
That's about a year old.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It still tastes great.
Like it was in a barrel for not quite a year, and it's been in a keg for not quite a year.
Mm.
So,
Still tasty.
Bargaining Stone, is that
The last of the last.
the last of
Man.
the last? One to go.
So random tidbit that thank you for your service,
No.
first off.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And when my wife and I were dating, I was like, she was in the mood for a comedy film. And I was like, oh, Stanley Kubrick. Full Metal Jacket.
So funny.
Yeah.
Uh,
Poor Sergeant Pyle. It was
Yeah.
around that time my wife goes, when is it funny?
Right.
I was like,
I mean, I.
sorry.
It's been fun.
It's always been fun.
It's been fun.
You don't have dark humor. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, my humor is about as dark as it can get. So
Do you remember there was a World War II movie starring Brad Pitt?
Fury. Was it Tank Commander?
No.
Brad Pitt.
You said Brad Pitt.
I
did.
remember there being
Another
I'm
one?
Thinking Fury.
It was
I'm thinking Fury.
who's the Pulp Fiction guy?
Tarantino.
Tarantino. It was a
Inglourious
Oh,
Tarantino.
Inglorious
Bastards.
Bastards.
Inglourious Bastards. So
Great movie.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
movie.
my wife had like girls' night, whatever. She was gonna go watch that. I'm like, I'm gonna watch Inglourious Bastards.
Mhm.
So she comes home at the end when everyone is annihilated by machine gun. Right?
Right,
Like
yeah.
that's how. Spoiler.
Yeah.
This is how the movie ends. Everybody gets mowed down by a machine gun.
Find out why when you watch it.
And so
Next
She-
week on.
she walks in and she's like, "What is this?" And it's Inglourious Bastards. Whenever I'm watching this, is this a World War II, some Nazi movie? Yes,
Nazi.
I agree. I declare no more Nazi movies.
Ooh, no
I
more.
said, thank God. Because you know what? I will never have to watch The Sound of Music again.
That's right.
And she was like, shit!
Well played. Well played.
That was the greatest moment, maybe, of my life.
That's awesome.
That's great.
That's amazing.
So, all you people listening to this podcast, you suckers, when you're this Christmas, you're watching stupid, whatever, Sally Fields, stupid Do Re Mi. Ha ha! Suckers.
Yeah.
I don't have to watch any of that crap.
Inglourious Bastards is supposed to take place right after The Sound of Music, so it all works out.
Oh, so you could watch one and then the next one.
Right? It's like a sequel,
Yeah.
and then you can get out of watching Sound of Music forever.
That's true. That's true.
So what is this one? What is this one that
This
you
is
just dropped
the
off? Is this the Ukraine?
It's the Brew for Ukraine.
Tell us
so
about
Pravda Brewing, about 2 or 3 weeks after Russia did their bullshit,
right.
Thanks.
they released, I think, 5 recipes for beers, and basically all they asked for was brew the beer,
Use the name.
use the name,
Yep.
get the word out, and if you would like to donate.
Yep.
So immediately, I think I saw that recipe release like that day,
Mhm.
and I sent it to Carl. I sent it to our head brewer, and I was like, "We should do this. Like, we need to do this." So we ended up brewing this. It's a golden ale, dry hopped, brewed with grains of paradise.
Nice.
So it's a very unique, probably one of the more unique beers I've tried, but super easy to drink, super tasty. But we are donating every cent for every pint that we've sold back to them, so they can use however they need to use it.
Mitch and I were talking about that
Yeah.
before because we walked in. We met with, we talked with Tenfold, Fela Force, and East Nashville Beer Works not too long ago. They were doing an anti-imperial stout called the Resist, which was very similar. And they were talking about there were different kind of recipes posted up on and things like that. So when we walked in tonight and saw this one, we were like, hey,
Right.
we're
Yeah.
ordering a pint of this one before we leave tonight. Like
Yes.
by default, you
And
have
we-
to,
and
right?
Yes.
I think we had assumed that most people, because the stout would be probably the most straightforward,
Yeah.
Mhm.
to do that route. And I'm happy we ended up going this route because this
It's an
didn't sound
interesting-
incredible. Like
Yeah.
when you look at it on paper, you're like, okay,
Right.
it's interesting, but it turned out great. And I think
Sure.
we might be one of the few places who actually said, yeah, let's try this
I
one,
love that.
You know?
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm
And
excited.
I mean, those guys, right? You're in Ukraine.
Mhm.
You're under a World War III level
Right.
In your
attack.
home country.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you say, you know what? I'm gonna take my brewery and start making Molotov cocktails to defend the integrity and sovereignty of our nation.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes.
Something we can
And
can
brewers
back.
can get behind that
Yeah.
too.
Of
right?
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
And I
Mitch,
think-
Mitch and I can't do a ton,
Yeah.
but what we can do is spend our money to help send.
I can send my dollar where it
Yeah.
needs to.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think I read something the other day that a couple thousand, if not 10,000, individual brewers had either downloaded and brewed, or in some scale have brewed and then helped donate back.
That's awesome.
So it definitely works, and they definitely need the money more than I do,
Yeah.
and most people. So let's help them.
And what?
Yep.
And side note, what's the ABV on this one, by the way?
It's around 8-ish.
8-ish. Okay.
The recipe that came from Pravda was about 8.
Yeah.
It's hard to say exactly. It's certainly sub 10. Should
Mhm.
we be regulated by a local or federal authority?
Sub 10.
Right.
But
well below 10, of course. Yes.
yeah, our calculation is just about 8.
Yeah.
7.999.
99999.
Repeat.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
it's interesting, right? It's very
It's an
unique.
enjoyable nose and
But
that taste.
That's
It's like-
that's
It's almost like a New England IPA off like the front
Yeah.
end, but then
Yeah.
after the back, kind of just like
it's just
shifts
super
gears
easy on
completely.
the
Yeah.
end to drink.
Yeah.
Super easy to
Yeah.
drink.
In the
Wow.
the grains of paradise throw banana
Yeah.
big time
Mm-hmm.
and
Like sweet
makes
banana.
it real clean.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Yeah, it's a fun little beer.
that's
I think.
super fun. I really enjoy that.
The plan's to order a pint of this one afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, Yeah, you all made me think of the concert I missed, the War Child UK benefit for Ukraine. And I've been a big fan of Portishead, and they came back after 20 years, it feels like, to play live. And it was good to see them again, even though it was YouTube for me. But yeah, it's wild to see all this support coming out, and makes me super proud.
So how much of this did you guys actually brew? Like, what was the size?
It's a couple of kegs.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did a couple of kegs. It's, when all of this happened was for United States breweries. It's funny. I watched a lot of people say, what's going on with this project? Who's doing this? Like it all happened right when breweries are ramping up for spring releases. And, April through July is when your breweries are really cranking out product. Right. This is okay. Everybody has been in like going to the gym mode, and then all of a sudden, wow, okay, it's St. Patrick's Day. I just took the lid off. I'm going nuts. So a lot of breweries didn't have like production schedule. Putin's like, I will invade the Ukraine, whatever.
Just like that.
Just like that.
It was just like
I have
that.
one accent. It's fine. It's just one. It could be German. It could be Russian. It could be Indian.
Whatever.
Or
Like,
all of them.
Or
It
all
could
of them put
be
together.
Southern. It could be Northern U.S. It could be, I don't know, Mexican. I don't know. It could be any nationality at all. I have one accent. Anyway, so when all of this went down, I think it was very difficult for breweries to be like, okay, our production schedule is such that we can rock out pallets and pallets and pallets of this beer where the proceeds will be donated. Now, what I think will happen is individual tap rooms around the United States will brew beers in some variety of volume like we're doing, and that money will go back. But then we'll also see, like, this is going to go on. This isn't stopping.
Right.
Okay, maybe Putin's got cancer, or who knows what's going on, and the KGB is now in charge of whatever the fucking Captain Moron is working on today. But we're going to be working on this for process. So this is the beginning of our help in this world.
Cheers to that.
Love the
Thank
taste
you.
of it too.
Yeah, it's good.
And it doesn't drink like 8-ish.
No.
That's super easy.
You're
welcome.
yours.
Yeah.
Good luck getting home.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we're going home?
No, I mean, they are. You and I live here, Alex.
You basically live here.
I never left.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, kind of moving everything back into a close or whatever. Like, what's the what's next for the Black Abbey? In terms of, is COVID kind of changed the footprint for a while anyway, and now we're back open, so you guys are having people in. Are you going to continue to focus on your traditional to go, or are you more focused on bringing people back in? Are you doing unique one-offs? Are you going to stick to like the core beers but do like the Belgian styles on one, and then the Jameson barrel age? Is that moving forward? Like, has anything changed since things have opened back up, or are you kind of moving back into what you used to be before the lockdown? It's a weird question, but I'm always interested to know if the lockdown changed people's footprint going forward.
You have so many questions.
I do.
The lockdown
It was-
changed
it was a little
everything,
one.
honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it changed everything. And if anyone tells you that it didn't,
Is
they
lying.
are lying.
Yep.
2020 and what happened in 2020 reset the deck. And it didn't just reset the deck. It took everything and it put it in a Cambro and it shook it up real hard and it threw it all over the floor. Right? Like,
yes.
it's radically different. And I think that from a Black Abbey standpoint, our tap room when we first opened was very much an idea about, hey, like, let's bring folks into the building, let them see what we're doing, let them taste what we're doing, let's do tours. And to a certain degree, like that was really important in 2013 when there were 20 or 2,000 breweries in the United States. Now there's literally 10,000 breweries in the United States. And so if you're coming in from Iowa or Idaho or some other I state,
Yeah.
you've got a brewery next door.
Yeah.
Right? Like everybody has a brewery next door. So when they come into town, it's no longer about, oh, well, cool, I can go look at this stainless steel that some guy
Things
has
all look
got.
the
And
same.
some, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody's looks the same. So our methodology for operation on our taproom status has changed a little bit. And I think that from a strategic direction standpoint, it's changed a little bit because everybody's has, right? There's so many breweries and so many people are doing so many things. It becomes about, all right, who are we? What do we do? What's our mission? What's our core? And what's our liquid taste like?
Yeah.
And honestly, number 5 is the thing that's the most important. Like, what's your liquid taste like?
Mhm.
Because where you are, who you are, what you do, and how you do it, everybody can do that differently. At the end of the day, when people go into the grocery store or they go into a bar or a restaurant and they order a pint of beer, if it doesn't taste good, they're not going to order it again.
Right.
I remember we opened in 2013. And so in 2012, I remember going around to a bunch of different breweries and bringing in our home brew and sitting down with them and talking to the owners and talking about what we do and what we wanted to do and what they did and how they did it. And I think there was a general commitment to, look, if we can help you make good beer, that's good for everybody, right?
Right.
High tides float all boats. If Black Abbey makes good beer, that means if somebody was going to order a Blue Moon, but instead ordered a Black Abbey, that they might subsequently order a Jackalope or a Good People or a Tennessee Brewworks or some
Explore
other
the
brewery,
local.
right?
Yes.
Right. But if they ordered a Black Abbey and it tasted like garbage, that they would just go back to Blue Moon,
Exactly.
and all these local breweries would suffer the result. Right.
Yeah.
So and here we are, like 10 years later, and I'm not sure that message is any different. Right. Like there are plenty of breweries that are out there that are making beer that are okay. But is it better than Blue Moon? Like, I mean,
There's some that are questionable.
I'm not a Miller guy.
No.
Like I can't tell you that Blue Moon is the best beer in the world. I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
Mhm.
So I think that I'm looping all the way around.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I really think that in the world, not just in Nashville, that it's important for breweries to make high quality liquid
Mhm.
and to make it with smart, intelligent, and engaging branding, because those are the two differentiating factors.
Right.
Anybody can make a fart joke and anybody can make alcohol, period. Right. And anybody can make alcohol. Some people make alcohol and tastes good. Other people make it that are like that might give me a real bad hangover or indigestion or other problems, right? Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. That's where we are. We got 10,000 breweries in the United States, and folks are going to make good beer or they're not. And the ones that do are local can't win forever.
Right. Right.
It wins right now. It has won for a number of years.
Right.
But as far as Black Abbey is concerned, it's important that we win based on quality. And I
Mhm.
feel like our liquid is really good. And, you know, maybe the marketing is 70%, you know, like I feel like that's my job, right?
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
I do the marketing and I'm hard on myself. John does the beer, and I think John fucking kills it.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like our beer is 100% and maybe our marketing is 70%. And that's me.
Man.
Well, as a consumer, you make good fucking beer.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, hands down.
You know?
Definitely.
And I think that as we move forward as an industry, that it becomes more important for breweries to make beer that is excellent as opposed to have marketing that is strong.
That's
I
it.
agree with that.
That's it.
Yeah.
I agree. Mitch, what do you think? This is a good time tonight, dude.
Amazing. Thank you for having us
Yeah,
here.
we can't thank you enough, Carl. This was a good time to be able to come back in this area and just kind of chill for a little bit. It's a welcome experience to have somebody that has that knowledge, not just of the beer itself, but like the history. More than I had a list of questions prepared and like things that I wanted to ask, and he just kind of like started firing off the answers as he was going through stories. I learned so much tonight about just the history of even Black Abbey, but the beers themselves, and we can't thank you enough. It's been a killer time. This is why we do what we do.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's been awesome. That's it.
Yeah.
We love hearing the people that make the things I want to buy all the time. We
Yep.
want to hear from you. We want to at least have some sort of mind's eye about what you have to go through every day.
Yeah.
Ingredients.
It
Whatever.
helps peg to the beer.
Yeah.
Like when you're drinking the beer, it helps understand the story behind it and
Yes.
why you spend your dollars to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I hope the folks that are listening at home are like, oh God, this guy talks so much.
No.
This is the longest podcast ever.
They'll be drinking beer. It's okay. It's
I
all
mean,
good.
Usually I'm the one like making shitty jokes the whole time, and
I am in charge of
Now
shitty
you're making
jokes.
shitty jokes
That is
tonight.
my job. But anyway, yeah, this has really been awesome. Thank you. Y'all are welcome anytime. I'm happy to jump on this whenever you want.
Excellent.
We'll definitely be spending some dollars your way, and we appreciate you guys hanging out tonight with us here
No
at
problem.
Black Abbey in Nashville. Mitch and Rich signing off.
Mhm.
We hope everybody has a great night. Mitch, anything else, man?
Cheers. Thank you for having us. Loved every bit. Every
Can I be
drop.
bitch?
Yeah, man.
Mitch, Rich, and bitch.
Hey.
We'll see-
RMB.
We'll see Mitch, Rich, and Bitch on the next episode. Cheers to you guys.
Cheers.